Lonely billionaire discovers touching life-changing gift from a 12-year-old girl on Father's Day. Ben Harper leaned against the gleaming glass of his towering Chicago office, gazing down at the bustling streets below. The weight of his billions felt heavier than ever today. Father's Day, an infinite reminder of his solitude, echoing loudly in a life meticulously crafted around ambition and wealth, devoid of love and laughter. No calls from children or hearty hugs from a loving family. Just a restless void trapped in the luxurious chaos of penthouses and high-stakes meetings. His heart raced as he pushed the cool glass door open, stepping onto the vibrant streets. He needed air. Just a moment of reprieve from the suffocating pressures of his glass prison. The noise, the laughter, and the chatter of families filled his ears. And then he saw her, a 12-year-old girl named Lily, her tiny fingers deftly weaving colorful threads into intricate bracelets. Her smile was infectious, a stark contrast against his gray world. She approached him, eyes bright, bursting with a tenacity that made his dull existence seem all the more pitiful. "Sir, would you like to buy a bracelet? They're only $5, she chirped, holding out a shimmering creation. Ben smirked dismissively at first, the initial inclination to brush her off as just another kid hustling on the streets. But something in her eyes stopped him. A light, a resilience that sparked something deep within. He felt a twinge, a reminder of simpler times when life wasn't weighed down by money. He bought a bracelet, feeling a warmth spread through his chest as he slipped it onto his wrist. It was ugly, in a beautiful way, woven with the colors of hope and struggle. And for a moment in that fleeting connection, Ben felt something shift. Days turned into weeks, and Lily became a bright spot in his routine. He learned about her life, filled with hardship as her mother juggled 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Her vibrant spirit taught him how to see beauty amid struggle. But one misunderstanding about meeting the next day sent her away crushed, the spark in her eyes dimming as she clutched her creations tightly, feeling invisible. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The rejection hit Ben hard. He wandered the city in a haze of reflection, grappling with the emptiness his riches had failed to fill. Determined to make amends, he sought to lend his expertise to community centers, yet his well-meaning donations felt patronizing. The remnants of his privilege hung heavily in the air, met with disdainful stares instead of gratitude. The wall he'd built between him and the people was now a chasm, deepening his understanding of their struggles. As he stood on the cold concrete, a mix of rejection and longing stirring deep within, a shadow fell across his path. Ben turned just in time to see Lily, clutching one of her bracelets. Her face reflected a whirlwind of surprise and hurt. This moment, suspended in time, held the weight of unspoken feelings. Would he be able to mend their bond? Or would his negligence cost him more than he bargained for? As their gazes locked, both felt the urgency of a friendship hanging by a fragile thread, waiting to be rewoven. Ben took a step forward, heart pounding, as if that simple gesture could somehow bridge the distance that had grown between them. "Lily," he said, voice barely more than a whisper, yet it hung in the air like a fragile promise. Her fingers twitched, the bracelet she clutched trembling slightly, as if reflecting the turmoil within her. "What do you want?" she asked, eyes flashing with hurt, a stark contrast to the brightness he had come to admire. The sincerity in her voice hit him like a stone, leaving a heavy weight on his chest. "I want to apologize, Lily. I never meant to hurt you," he started, struggling to find the right words. "I made a mistake, and I miss seeing you." There was an honesty in his tone. He realized just how much her presence had come to mean to him. Lily's expression softened for an instant, but the walls she had built were not yet ready to crumble. "You didn't take care when it mattered." Why should I believe you now? The words struck him, leaving a raw sting. She turned to walk away, her small shoulders weighed down by disappointment. That a surge of desperation took hold of Ben. Wait. He reached out, grabbing her wrist lightly, careful not to overstep. If it had been anyone else, he would have felt foolish. But not with her. Her eyes widened, and he could see the conflict in her gaze. What if he hesitated, searching for the right way to appeal to her? What if I help you sell your bracelets? The offer slipped from his mouth before he fully understood the implications. Lily paused, looking up and searching his expression for any signs of deceit. Why would you do that? Because I want to make up for my mistakes, he admitted, feeling vulnerable. And I think I can learn a lot from you. The corner of her mouth quirked. Skepticism etched into her brow. You really think that will change things? He nodded slowly, the weight of his words settling around them. I want to show you that I care. For a moment, they stood there, amidst the cacophony of the bustling city. Two worlds colliding in a fleeting moment of possibility. Then, slowly, she relented, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. Okay, but if you're just doing this for show, I promise I'm not. And just like that, they forged a shaky alliance. Over the next few days, they ventured out to different parks around the city. Ben used his connections to secure spots where people frequented, transforming their small amalgamation into something greater. He watched in awe as her confidence blossomed, each sale drawing her further out of her shell, her laughter filling the spaces that had once been silent in his heart. But as they strove to build something together, the chasm of Ben's past still loomed in the background, faint shadows occasionally threatening to intrude the jealousy of his peers, the nagging voices questioning his motives. He realized then that healing wouldn't come easily. On one particularly sunny afternoon, as they huddled under the shade of a tree, Lily gently brushed a strand of hair from her face and looked up at him. Can I ask you something? Always, Ben replied, bracing himself for whatever was to come. What's it like to be well, you? Her question hung between them, filled with unspoken worries. Would his wealth ever truly matter if he couldn't find joy in it? Before he could respond, a commotion erupted nearby, a small girl crying out for help. Ben's instincts kicked in, and he swiftly turned to see what was happening. A split second later, he and Lily were racing toward the sound, hearts pounding. It was a bonding moment neither expected, but would it leave them both scarred or bring them closer together? As Ben dashed forward, he realized that their journey was just beginning, and uncertainties lay ahead, even as hope flickered in their hands. Ben and Lily raced through the crowd, the cries of the small girl pulling them forward like a siren song. The laughter and chatter of the people around them faded into background noise, their focus narrowing to the scenes unfolding ahead. As they rounded a corner, the sight that greeted them made Ben's heart drop. A little girl, no older than 8, had fallen off her bike. Her knee was scraped, and tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked up desperately for any hint of comfort. Ben felt a surge of urgency. He sprinted towards her, his feet pounding against the pavement. Hey, it's okay. We're here to help. His voice broke through the chaos, filled with a reassuring calm that he hoped would soothe her fear. Lily was right behind him, kneeling beside the girl, her expression softening instantly at the sight of the frightened child. What's your name? She asked gently, reaching out to the girl. Emily, the girl sniffed, her breath hitching. I just wanted to ride like the other kids. I know it's scary. Emily, Lily said, her voice soothing. But we're going to get you cleaned up. Just take deep breaths. Ben crouched next to them, kneeling in the dirt. The innocence in the girl's eyes struck him hard, forcing memories of his own childhood to surface. Memories of carefree days, laughter, and the simple joys that had once filled his life. While he sat there, a strong desire to protect and connect bubbled up within him. Okay, Emily, he said, let us see that leg of yours. Gently, he peeled back the fabric of her jeans to reveal the scraped skin, already beginning to swell. The sight made his stomach turn. It's gonna sting a little when I clean it, but you're so brave, I know you can handle it. Emily nodded, determination mixing with her lingering fear, and Lily offered her a warm smile. Together they worked swiftly, Lily took charge, using a napkin from her bag to wipe away the dirt and gently cleanse the wound. Ben could see Lily's confidence shining through, her own worries forgotten as she focused entirely on the girl. As he watched, something shifted in him. This was what healing looked like, not just for Emily but for them all. Helping her, feeling useful, made the burdens he carried seem lighter, less suffocating. He exchanged glances with Lily, sharing an unspoken understanding in that moment. When they finished, Emily looked at them both, uncertainty still lingering in her eyes. "Will it hurt tomorrow?" "Just a little," Ben assured her, "but that means you're getting stronger. Next time you'll be able to ride even faster." Lily knelt beside her. "And we can help you practice. How about that?" A spark of hope lit Emily's face. "Really?" she breathed, and in that moment, all three of them shared a smile. A small moment of joy amid the chaos of life's little accidents. Emily's mother arrived, trailing behind the worried voices of concerned adults. Ben felt something shifting within him. It was a feeling of warmth that came from genuine connection, of understanding what mattered beyond material things. After the little girl was reunited with her mother, Ben and Lily found themselves standing alone, the world swirling around them. The moment had changed them, pushing them closer to each other, yet also reminding them how fragile relationships could be. Maybe this is what we need to focus on," Lily said softly, breaking the silence that lingered between them. "Not just selling bracelets, but sharing in moments like these. Feels good, doesn't it?" "Yeah," Ben replied, heart still racing but now from something deeper than anxiety. "It really does." But as they turned to walk away, the reality of his past loomed just on the edge of his mind, ready to pull him back. He realized how quickly everything could change, how his journey with Lily hinged not just on their work, but on the trust they were still building. What happens when the past catches up to us? He wondered aloud, looking at her, searching for answers in her eyes. "Maybe we learn to face it together," she replied, her voice steady yet fragile. And in that moment Ben felt a flicker of hope against the backdrop of uncertainty. Each step they took together felt like a step closer to something real. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that another challenge was waiting just around the corner, one that might test their newly formed bond in unexpected ways. Would they be able to face it together, or was their path destined to be derailed once again? As Ben and Lily walked away from the chaotic scene, the bustling atmosphere of the fair began to feel foreign. The echoes of laughter, the bright colors of stalls, and the smell of popcorn blurred into the background, replaced by a heavy silence that hung between them. Ben couldn't shake the image of Emily off his mind. The little girl's bright eyes had held so much fear, yet when they had left her, she had looked lighter, almost glowing with the possibility of a new beginning. His own insecurities were smoldering, anxious thoughts flickering just beneath the surface. What if he let Lily down? What if facing the past was too overwhelming? Lily instinctively reached for his hand, her touch calming him. "You okay?" she asked, her eyes searching his. "Yeah. Just thinking," Ben replied, squeezing her fingers gently. "About the girl?" He nodded, not needing to say more. They both knew what that moment meant. It was more than just a simple act of kindness. It had been a reminder. They had stepped beyond their own struggles to help someone else, and in turn, they had helped each other, reaffirming the importance of connection. "I keep thinking about how easy it is to get lost in our own worries," she murmured, looking ahead. "But when you pivot your focus, even just for a little while, it can change everything." Ben pictured Emily rolling her bike, the smile on her face undeniable. "You're right," he said. "Maybe this is our chance to do more of that. To connect, not just with each other, but with others too." As they passed a vibrant booth filled with handmade crafts, a young girl about Emily's age caught their eye. She was selling colorful bracelets, her wide smile bringing a warmth that felt infectious. Ben glanced at Lily, who raised an eyebrow, a silent challenge passing between them. "Let us do it," he proposed, nudging her playfully, sparking a soft laugh from her, and for a moment, everything else felt lighter. The girl perked up, her eyes brightening at their approach. "Do you want to buy a bracelet?" she asked, her voice full of eagerness. "Sure." They look really cool, Ben responded, stepping closer. What's your name? Jessie, she exclaimed. I made them all by myself. Lily knelt down, inspecting the array of colorful bands. You're very talented, Jessie. How do you make them? Jessie beamed, arms spreading wide as she explained her process, weaving in and out of stories about her creations. Ben and Lily listened, completely enthralled. They hadn't expected to find joy in something so simple. As Ben bought a couple of bracelets, one for Lily and one for himself, he felt something shift within him again. A connection sparked not just with Jessie, but with the importance of giving, of creating a bridge between themselves and others. Jessie handed over the bracelets, their soft threads warm against Ben's skin. You have to wear them. They'll bring you luck. Luck? Huh? Ben chuckled. Lucky for us, then. Lily slipped her bracelet onto her wrist, and the moment was punctuated by a silence that swelled with unspoken promise. Walking away from Jessie's booth, Ben felt excitement sparking in his chest. They had bridged another connection, shared another moment of joy. We could do something similar. Help kids learn to make their own, he said, eyes lighting up with possibility. We could host a class or a fair or go to community centers, Lily added, her voice growing excited. There are so many kids who could use something to uplift them. Their ideas flowed effortlessly like the colors of Jessie's bracelets. However, beneath his enthusiasm, Ben couldn't shake the lingering sensation that his past was still lurking, waiting for the right moment to intrude. As they headed further into the fair, laughter and celebration surrounding them, Ben couldn't help but wonder, if they ventured down this path of connection and community, what challenges would arise? Lily, he started, pausing as a thought pierced through his optimism. What if someone from my past shows up when we start? Then we figure it out together, she said, determination etched across her features. It felt as though they were standing at the edge of a new beginning, a path brimming with hope. Yet, beneath the vibrant moments, uncertainty loomed. Could they really face whatever came next? Or was the past destined to overshadow their future? As they ambled through the fair, the sounds of laughter and chatter began to creep back in, but Ben still felt the weight of uncertainty pressing on him. He glanced at Lily, who was absorbed in the vibrant colors around them, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Her enthusiasm was contagious, but it couldn't completely mask the shadows of doubt swirling in his mind. Hey, wanna try some games? Lily asked, her tone light as she nudged him playfully. Maybe win a stuffed animal? Sure, why not? Ben replied, a weak smile crossing his lips. He wanted to embrace the moment, push the worries aside, at least for a little while. He followed her to a stall where bright balloons swayed in the breeze, and the sounds of jubilant cheers filled the air. They approached the ring toss section, where a young man was demonstrating how easy it was to win. Ben watched as the man tossed a ring effortlessly, landing it perfectly over a bottleneck. The nearby spectators clapped, cheering him on as though he were a magician. Okay, my turn, Lily exclaimed, determination etched on her face as she took a step forward. She concentrated on the bottles, her brow furrowing as she held the ring. I got this. He admired her confidence. She threw the ring, but it bounced off the bottle and landed on the grass. Laughter echoed around them, and Lily's cheeks flushed a bright pink. All right, one more try. This time, she landed the ring over one of the bottles and grinned with pure joy. Yes, I did it. Ben joined in the applause, letting her triumph wash over him. It was moments like these that reminded him of how uplifting life could be, a sweet reminder that joy was often nestled in the simplest experiences. They exchanged their tickets for a small stuffed bear, which Lily instantly named Cuddles. She clutched it tightly, grinning from ear to ear. What do you think Cuddles will think about our big plans? I think Cuddles believes in making the world a better place, Ben said, smiling at the soft toy. As they walked away, he felt lighter, but a sudden sense of foreboding gripped him. The past lurked, teasing him at the edges of his joy. Lily, what if this whole idea of helping kids brings back people I'd rather forget? Then we'll keep moving forward, she answered swiftly, her courage unwavering. We can't let the fear of the past stop us from making good in the present. He admired her resolve. Yeah, you're right. He felt the warmth of her hand in his, grounding him amid the uncertainty swirling around them. Suddenly, Ben spotted a familiar face in the crowd. His heart dropped into his stomach as he recognized an old friend, Derek. It had been years since they'd last spoken. Since the fallout. He couldn't help but remember the reasons that motivated their falling out. The resentment that lingered like a shadow. Lily, look over there, Ben said, his voice unsteady as he pointed discreetly. She followed his gaze and her expression shifted, realizing the unexpected presence. Do you want to avoid him? Ben's gaze remained fixed on Derek. A mix of anxiety and frustration clawed at him. No, I can't just ignore it. As Derek made his way through the crowd, a sense of inevitability settled in. Ben took a deep breath, knowing this could be the moment that defined his path, either a step toward healing or a spiral back into old wounds. Time felt suspended, the noise of the fair fading into the background as he faced the truth of his past. Would he embrace this chance to reconnect? Or would the fear of history repeating itself pull him back? Just then, he felt Lily squeeze his hand, a reassuring gesture amidst the growing tension. Whatever happens, I'm here. He took one last glance at her, determination flooding his veins. This could change everything. As Derek drew nearer, Ben's heart raced. Would he find the courage to confront what lay ahead? Or would he retreat into the safety of what was familiar? The moment hung heavy in the air, and just as he prepared to speak, a sudden realization hit him. Would this encounter lead to an unexpected twist that could either bind their fates together or tear them apart yet again? Derek stepped closer, and the cacophony of laughter and carnival music seemed to dim into a heartbeat, amplifying the tension between them. Ben's breath caught in his throat. It was like staring into a mirror that reflected not just his face, but the bitterness, arguments, and misunderstandings from their past. Ben? Derek's voice broke through the haze. There was surprise and maybe a hint of regret in his tone. Derek? Ben replied, forcing the word out, feeling like a tense wire ready to snap. How many times had he envisioned this moment? How many times had he rehearsed arguments and apologies? Now that they stood face to face, everything felt so much smaller and less significant than the memories that surrounded them. Lily shifted slightly, her presence warm beside him, anchoring him down. Hey, it's good to see you, she chimed in, her voice bright and unfamiliar in this jagged moment. Derek's gaze darted between them, confusion flaring before settling on Ben. It's been a while. How have you been? That question hung heavy, layered with unspoken histories that felt impossible to unravel in the vibrant chaos of the fair. Instead of responding, Ben glanced at the ground briefly, processing the fully loaded silence before looking back. I've been trying to move forward, he said, the words tasting bittersweet. Derek shifted, the remnants of their past hanging sharply between them. Yeah, I get that. Life doesn't wait, right? The memories rushed back, the fights, the misunderstandings, the way they had both let pride build walls instead of bridges. Ben felt the old resentments bubbling up, but they were muffled by a growing desire for clarity. Why now? Ben asked, challenging him. Why not before? The tension crackled. Derek's eyes flickered with regret, but the moment lingered. I didn't realize how much I missed having you around until... His voice trailed off. He hesitated, and for a split second, vulnerability shone through his guarded exterior. I guess I thought time would just erase the damage. What happened, Derek? It wasn't just time. Ben pressed, his heart racing. A sigh escaped Derek's lips, weighted with unexpressed regrets. It was the stuff we fought about. Our families, the expectations. I thought avoiding you would help, but it didn't. Suddenly, the fair, the colorful stalls, the laughter, everything faded into the background. It was just the two of them, lost in their own moment of reckoning. Lily squeezed Ben's hand tighter, a silent reminder of warmth and support. He took a breath, sensing her steady heartbeat beside him, and it rekindled a flicker of hope that maybe this was a chance to untie the knots. Ben inhaled deeply, forging ahead. I'm willing to try if you are, he offered, each word carrying the weight of years spent in silence. Derek met his gaze, surprise etched across his face. There was a flicker of something else too, relief maybe? Really? But before Ben could respond, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of children raced by, laughter mingling with the artificial fireworks in the sky, and a small girl slipped on the pavement, letting out a cry. Without thinking, Ben rushed to her side as instinct kicked in. "Hey, are you okay?" His voice was gentle, masking the swell of anxious energy inside. The girl, tears glistening in her eyes but a brave smile appearing, nodded and clutched a stuffed unicorn tightly. Her spirit, despite the fall, stirred something deep within Ben. "Just a scratch," she said, bravely wiping her tears with a smile. "Cuddles always makes everything better." The irony didn't escape him, and for a moment, warmth filled his chest. He glanced back at Lily, and she beamed, the spark of joy evident as Ben helped the girl to her feet. Something clicked. Wasn't this what they had both been missing? A chance to rebuild, to care? With the girl's laughter echoing in the background, Ben turned back to Derek, the weight of their past slowly lifting. "Then let us start fresh." But just as they were finding solid ground, another familiar face from their shared history appeared, and the moment felt as if it were poised on a ledge. What would this reunion bring? The day's brightness turned a bit darker as Ben's gaze shifted to the approaching figure. Sam had been one of their closest friends back in the day, but with everything that had happened, his return felt like a double-edged sword. "Ben," Sam called, his bright smile not quite reaching his eyes. He skidded to a halt beside them, causing the lively atmosphere around them to dim, funneling all attention to their small circle. "Hey! Didn't he expect to see you here?" Derek's expression tightened, the warmth of their moment evaporating like mist in the sun. "Yeah, this is Lily, my girlfriend," Ben interjected, a rush of nervousness bubbling up. He wanted to steer clear of Derek's awkward tension with Sam, and Lily would be a buffer they desperately needed right now. "Nice to meet you," Sam said, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to the weight building between the three men. "Same here," Lily replied, throwing Ben a supportive glance. Sam's eyes narrowed slightly as he took in Ben and Derek's body language, the stiffness, the unsaid words hanging in the air. "What's going on? You guys look like you just came from a funeral." Derek shot Ben a cautious look before he retreated into his shell. "It's nothing, really. Just catching up." It was a flimsy response. Ben could feel the tension coiling up again, that familiar knot settling into his stomach as memories of all their shared history wrestled with the need for healing. But Lily stepped in, her voice kind but steady. "We were just discussing the past. You know how complicated friendships can get." "Complicated?" Sam echoed, eyebrows raised. "You could say that again." He chuckled lightly, but the laugh fell flat, hanging uneasily in the air. "You guys were practically brothers. What changed?" The question hung there, heavy with expectancies. Ben could feel Derek's hesitation, the push and pull of an uncharted territory they both might not be ready to navigate. Ben opened his mouth to say something, anything to dispel the awkwardness, then closed it again. It felt like the world was waiting with bated breath, every eye at the fair seemingly tuned in to this moment. "Just life, you know?" Ben finally managed, the words faltering. It was a vague answer, but simultaneously felt like the only answer worth giving. He searched for hope, a spark in Derek's eyes that might show he was willing to dig deeper. Just then, the small girl Ben had helped tugged at his shirt, a slice of innocence cutting through the heavy air. "Mister, can I take a picture with the unicorn?" she asked, her eyes wide and innocent, momentarily forgetting all concerns as she looked at Derek and Sam. "Of course," Ben replied, feeling buoyed by her contagious spirit. The girl dashed back to collect her prized stuffed unicorn, and as she posed with it, the tension melted for a moment, laughter bubbling as they captured that precious moment in time. As Ben snapped a picture, he felt something shift within him. Maybe this was what they all needed, a nudge towards reconnection. A reminder of how life could change in just a blink of a stuffed unicorn's eye. When the girl skipped away, Ben turned his attention back to the older boys. What if we tried to have one of those moments ourselves? He suggested, hope lacing his voice. Moments? Sam replied, curiosity piqued. But behind his eyes, Ben could almost see the gears turning. Yeah, moments where we remember the good stuff. The friendship we had, Ben said, locking eyes with Derek. Moments that matter. But just as Derek's brow furrowed with thought, another figure bobbed through the crowd's heavy footsteps stomping towards them, sweeping in like a storm, and all at once Ben's heart raced. Would this be the other piece of their history that could either stitch them together or tear them apart? Ben. The voice boomed, a haunting familiarity echoing within his chest. There you are. Ben's heart dropped as he recognized the voice. It was Jake, their old friend whose absence had echoed loudly through the years. The air grew thick and heavy as Jake approached, his figure casting a long shadow over their small gathering. The spontaneous laughter that had rippled through them just moments ago evaporated, leaving an uncomfortable silence in its wake. Jake, Ben managed, forcing a smile that felt like a mask over his surprise and unease. It's been a while. Jake's grin was wide, but it didn't match the tension that hung tightly around them, like a storm waiting to break. Yeah, no kidding. I've been out of the loop. What's happening with you guys? He gestured to Sam and Derek, the enthusiasm in his voice not quite reaching his eyes. Just catching up, Sam replied, his attempt at casual normalcy faltering under Jake's piercing gaze. Derek shifted awkwardly, staring at the ground. Memories of their last encounter with Jake flooded back, how things had unraveled, how friendships had fractured like thin glass. You're all still tight, right? Jake asked, a hint of apprehension edging into his tone. Thought maybe we could play catch up like the good old days? The phrase hung painfully in the air. Good old days. Ben's mind raced. The weight of their shared past loomed larger than it had moments before. Sure, let us try, Ben suggested, his voice wavering slightly. Could they really reclaim those good old days? His heart beat rapidly, a mix of anxiety and hope. Just then, a shout pierced through their moment. The small girl returned, her face flushed with excitement. Mister, she exclaimed, tugging at Ben's shirt again. Can I show my friend my unicorn? An unexpected warmth enveloped Ben as the girl pointed towards Derek with a hopeful smile. Please. Lily beamed at the girl's innocent enthusiasm. It was a small light, flickering brightly amidst the heaviness of their gathering. That sounds great, she encouraged, and Ben nodded, feeling an urge to protect that fleeting joy. Absolutely. Show us, he urged, trying to catch the moment as spark. As the little girl bounced away, pulling Derek along with her, Ben felt a strange shift. Maybe this wasn't just about reliving the past. Maybe it was about creating new chapters. Look, I'm sorry about how things have been. Jake's voice broke through his thoughts. I didn't handle things well. And I know it cost a lot. I just want to make it right. Derek finally met his gaze. That is a start, he said cautiously, his guard still up but the slightest hint of openness shining through. Ben felt the air shift again, this time softer, like a prelude to a storm passing, leading to something calmer. How about we start with something simple like sharing one good memory? He suggested, testing the waters. Why not? Sam chimed in, a smile of nostalgia beginning to crack through his serious demeanor. They looked at one another, unsure yet hopeful, a collective sense of longing to rebuild something great. But just then, a commotion at the edge of the carnival caught their attention. A cry rang out, followed by the sharp squeal of children, and as they turned to look, the excitement in their faces shifted to alarm. What's happening? Ben asked, nerves crawling under his skin as he braced for the unknown. A chill ran through him, knowing how quickly a moment could turn. Come on, we should check it out, Jake urged, and without waiting for another word, he started toward the noise, the others trailing behind, uncertainty racing alongside them. Would this unexpected turn lead to a confrontation with the ghosts of their past, or a step towards the healing they all desperately needed? Ben inhaled deeply, holding tight to the flicker of hope within him, as the shadows of their history loomed just ahead. Ben's heart raced as they drew closer to the source of the commotion. The sounds of laughter had turned to cries and urgent shouts that knotted his stomach. The carnival's vibrant atmosphere, once full of joy, now felt charged with fear. He glanced at Jake, whose face was taut with worry, mirroring Ben's own unease. "What do you think happened?" Sam asked, his voice barely above a whisper as they pressed through the throngs of onlookers. "I don't know," Ben replied, scanning the crowd for any familiar face. "But it sounds serious." The closer they got, the more the adrenaline in his veins spurred him on. They pushed their way through the crowd until they reached a small cluster of worried parents and anxious children. The sight that awaited them made Ben freeze. Two kids, one of whom was the girl with the unicorn, stood apart from the others. The little girl was crouched on the ground, tears streaming down her cheeks, while her friend, a boy, was holding his arm in a way that suggested something was very wrong. A nearby woman, presumably his mother, knelt beside them, her face pale and drawn. "What happened?" Jake ventured forward, his voice steady despite the tension prickling at the back of Ben's mind. The mom looked up, frantic. "He fell off the pirate ship ride," she said, voice breaking. "I think he might have hurt his arm badly." Ben's heart sank. The joy of the carnival had taken a stark turn, and the weight of the moment pulled him closer to the ground. As a familiar feeling crept in, he thought about how fragile these moments of happiness could be and how quickly they could slip away. "I'm just trying to keep him calm," the woman continued, brushing her fingers through her son's hair, urging him to breathe. "The paramedics are on their way." "What can we do?" Derek asked, stepping in to help. "Just keep everyone back. Give them space," Jake instructed, moving away from the crowd to direct onlookers. Ben knelt beside the little girl, meeting her tear-streaked eyes. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly, hoping to comfort her. "You're brave just like your unicorn." She sniffled, looking at him with wide, watery eyes, and he wished he could take her pain away. "I just wanted to show them," she mumbled, her words full of disappointment. "I know," he replied, his heart aching. "But your friend is going to be okay. They'll help him." Just then, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. A terrible sound turned into a mixture of hope and dread. It signaled that help was near, but that didn't erase the tension in the air. As they waited, Ben glanced at Jake and the others. They were caught in this moment, all the past pains and divisions put on hold, binding them together with a common purpose. "Remember when we used to take risks?" Ben murmured, his thoughts spilling over. "Living like there was no tomorrow?" Jake nodded slowly, reflecting on those wild days. Maybe today we can recapture that even in the hardest times." And just like that, a flicker of something ignited within Ben. They had a chance to reinvent their past, not by dwelling on mistakes, but by supporting one another in the present. As the ambulance pulled up with blazing lights, Ben felt a surge of resolve. He watched the paramedics spring into action, focused and professional. What if, after this moment, they could turn that hope into something greater? Through the chaos, they had each other. Wasn't that the most important part? But just as relief began to push through the heaviness, Ben's phone buzzed in his pocket, prompting his heart to skip a beat. He pulled it out, squinting at the screen. The name flashing back at him filled him with dread. It was Angela, the friend he thought had moved on. What could she want now? And why did it feel like the past was knocking on his door again? The sirens shrieked, cutting through the thick atmosphere, and Ben felt a rush of emotions surge inside him. Staring into the tear-stained face of the little girl, he realized that life is a fragile balance between joy and pain. They had just begun to forge connections, and here it was, threatened by the weight of their pasts as the paramedics swiftly attended to the fallen boy. Tension still gripped the air. Ben glanced at Lily, her expression set but filled with an unyielding strength. She reached for his hand, and a comforting warmth spread through him. They were in this together. When the paramedics lifted the boy onto a stretcher, the little girl clutched her unicorn and took a shaky breath. "Is he going to be okay?" Ben knelt next to her. "He's going to be all right. He's got really good people taking care of him." He watched as they drove off, feeling a glimmer of hope rise in his chest. Standing beside him was not just Lily, but Sam, Derek, and Jake his old friends, looking resolute despite the collective tension. "See?" Sam said, trying to lighten the mood. "Bravery doesn't always mean you don't feel scared." Derek nodded, adding quietly, "Sometimes it's about showing up, no matter what." The camaraderie sparked a renewed sense of purpose within Ben. The truth was, life had a way of bringing things full circle. Moments like these where they'd come together could rewrite their dastardly history. When the dust settled, they found themselves united, a small but cohesive group. "So what does this mean for us?" Jake ventured cautiously, a flicker of hope threading through his weary voice. "It means we start fresh," Ben declared, breaking the silence that lingered. Together, his gaze moved between Jake and Derek. He understood now. They all had ghosts to face, some shared, some uniquely their own. Walking forward would require more than just promises. It would take healing. Slowly, a collective nod of agreement rippled through the group. "We can make real change," Lily added, her excitement sparking through her words. "Let us help kids help each other. Instead of picking up where we left off, let us build something new." Ben's heart swelled at her enthusiasm. Maybe in the process of trying to heal others, they could finally begin to heal themselves too. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again, pulling him from the moment. This time it wasn't just Angela. It was a notification. A reminder for a charity event. He had committed to an event that encouraged mentorship between adults and children in the community. "Help," he whispered to himself, thinking of every child who may need the guidance and support he had pursued so fervently, all while forgetting himself. "I'll be at that event," he announced, his mind racing. "I want to create a space where kids can explore, connect, and heal together. With all of you." The others watched him, surprise evident. You could see threads of doubt beginning to shift into possibility. "Count me in," Sam said, his face lighting up. "Me too," Derek chimed in slowly. "Let us share stories. Laughter, be the role models we wish we had." "I want to spearhead it," Lily said, determination radiating through her. "If we pool our resources, we can make a real difference." In that moment, Ben felt something profoundly shift inside him. He looked at all of them, the people he once thought he'd lost, and felt a wave of gratitude. "This is our chance to redefine our past," he declared. "To create something healing, not just for us but for everyone out there who feels alone." And for the first time in his life, Ben felt something close to joy sprouting, vibrant like the colors of Lily's bracelets woven with resilience. As they all stood together, a smattering of hope ignited within his heart, much like the laughter of children surrounding them. They were more than just fragments of a tumultuous past. They were a tapestry, a blend of brokenness transformed into unity, ready to face whatever came their way. The carnival's vibrant colors began to echo in his heart, mixing with warmth and connections, the kind that could stretch beyond shared hardships, the kind that promised brighter tomorrows. The echoes and laughter surrounded them, mirroring the potential they had ignited within each other. Healing was a journey, but they would weather every storm together, friendship blossoming amid chaos, poignant reminders of how to cherish the present while daring to build for the future. And in that moment, as they turned to walk forward, Ben realized. This wasn't just a new chapter, it was the beginning of something extraordinary. So, if you felt the energy of this transformation, if you connected with the journey, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's time to spread hope and healing together.